Long Story Shorts. Making Books with Kristen Wiens. My Gratitude Jar. This book started with pages of notes, mind maps, and ideas. I wrote and rewrote the story many times. Because I also made the illustrations for the book, I was always thinking about which pictures could go with which words. I studied other storybooks, researched online, and looked at real people to get ideas. My dad is an artist, so I asked him lots of questions too. That was fun. Next, I made a mock-up book. A mock-up is a model of what the book will look like, a preview. This let me see what the sketches would look like once they were in a real book. This helped me know if the pictures were in the right order, if they were in the right place on the page, and most importantly, if there was enough room for the words. After the sketches were finished, it was time to choose the paper. I went to the thrift shop and bought old dictionaries, music books, school books, and maps to cut up and use in the art. This style of art is called mixed media, or collage. When you look through the book, it is fun to find the different types of paper I used. Look at Miss Lane's hair. It is always from a dictionary. Jacob's hair is always from a map of New York, and I used school paper for all the children's desks. Next, I traced the sketches onto the paper. To do this, I used graphite paper. When you press on graphite paper, a light line will transfer to the paper behind it. Sometimes it was hard to see, but usually there was enough of a line for me to cut around. Because there are a lot of different pictures of Jacob and Miss Lane in this book, I had to make sure that I used the same type of paper for their clothes on each page that was the same day. One time I made Jacob have a long sleeve shirt on one page, and on the next page the same shirt had short sleeves. I had to start that picture again. I also had to make sure I had enough of each type of paper. Once, I made a picture of Miss Lane that I really liked, but then I realized that I didn't have enough of that paper for the other pictures. Just like Jacob does in the book, I had to take a few slow breaths and start that page again. After I had all the pieces cut out, I added extra color using pastels and ink pads. I made a color copy of the picture, so I had a flat surface to draw on. Then I added the details around the edges on his face with a thin black marker. I liked this part because this is when Jacob really came to life. I cut out the picture one more time. This time it was to put on the background. The backgrounds were all made by gluing tissue to artboards. And then I scanned them so they could be put into a computer and have words added. Once the words were added, sample pages were printed. These pages are called proofs. This showed me exactly what the printed book would look like. I checked them over to make sure there were no mistakes. This was the last chance I had to make any changes. Once the pages were approved, the book was printed. Months and months after I started, I could finally flip through the pages of my book. It was a lot of work, but in the end, I was so happy with it. I'll tell you a secret. I snuck in a few pictures of my kids from when they were little. Their names are Bethany and Benjamin. See if you can find them. I am grateful to all the people who helped me make this book. And I am grateful to be able to share with you the story of how we made my gratitude jar.
NorthstarPaths.com